Hello guys and welcome back to a new week's episode where we look at the scenario where civilization starts over again. And the first thing I'm going to do is update the trade-offs. I already did update a bit trade-offs that I forgot to make, but you can see that these two countries are not cooperating with their trade-offs even though they are both democratic. But this Indian country is not really over the splitting of this Indian country, so they are kind of hate they kind of hate each other. But we can see that India has a really bad network. They're trying to improve it, but they're not really going through with it. And we also can see them making plans for trade routes, and they are pretty well, and they are good in time, so these should be finished anytime. And also you see here these have started to make dreadouts, but now a few things we can see is that the navy country makes a trade route, whoops, makes a trade route to Malta, which is I think now the longest water trade route that exists. Maybe this one is longer, but it probably is. But still, the navy country is going to claim that by connecting up this and Cyprus, the Dodecanies, I think it's called, and their trading empire is starting to recover because uh, they are economically much more stronger, and we also see them connecting up the trade routes with their capital and also the barbaric islands. And we see Sweden again trying to make trade routes through the mountains. These ones aren't from Sweden, but they are also trying to connecting them up now. And you also see the founding of a few more major cities up here in the north of Sweden. A few trade ports, a lot actually. These are not really big, but they are still ports and relatively important for Sweden if they want to be more in this northern area. And now the next thing we are going to see is the formation of the triangle team from these Mediterranean countries to protect themselves against the threat of Persia. And these five countries are economically really close and all like each other. So, and also in the poll, obviously, you guys have voted for them to make their own faction and not join the circle team, which would make a collision against the Persians. But now it's just two separate alliances that hate the same country, because I've personally I find it better that way. So I guess you kind of have my opinion in that, because I can do much more with this. And this actually triggers him a bit, because he actually wanted to to expand in these few countries right here. He had no interest in these two right now, but he wanted to expand in these three countries. The Crimean country to knock under naval power out of the battle and to make the green one more loyal. And these two he also kind of wanted for himself. And he also thinks that if he starts a war with Egypt and East Africa, which are relatively militaristic, the monarchs are uh, the monarchs are saying that they need a big royal guard, which is a large army, to protect themselves, and they are not wrong because Persia wants to invade them. And India is also a case which is the most likely country to get invaded by Persia because it's by far the weakest one, but also the army is far, far, far away from any of the possible front lines from these two alliances. And also in India live more people than in Persia. And that actually brings us, and that actually brings us to the stats. And as you can see, there are the same one in last video because last video was recorded in advance. I had the wrong I had the wrong layout, so you also already got spoiled. But you also already got spoiled what? No, you actually didn't. Yep, yeah, but it's just a mistake by me. But as you can see, India has more population than Persia, and actually India is only in the top 15 countries because of their population, because they don't have a good tech. They have a good stability, but not for long. And as you can see, they almost doubled their population from 5 million. But Persia also did expand a lot. And as you can see, Germany, Dutch, and East Africa are all growing bigger and bigger. And also, we see that Germany now only has the fifth largest navy because Persia now has the fourth largest navy, only beaten by East Africa and Crimea. And as you can see, everyone in the top 15 is relatively stable. East Africa, East Italy is doing a bit worse, but everything over 80, I think, is relatively stable, and everything over 50 is also good, but everything under 50 is risky. So now, before we get into war and stuff, we need to take religion into account because we finally, I guess, or something like that, see that the pink team is getting pushed back with the religion, and that's because a lot of true believers of the religious republic fled or got killed because these people are not nice, and we also see that their culture is also not having a great time. But we see the religious republic is actually bigger than it looks because we also see in the religious map mode that the pink team is expanding and rooting out the barbarian religion, which, looking at the position they are in, is not really great. But the blue religion is really on the decline because both Portugal and Spain are both making efforts to root out the religion because it's a sign of imperialism, even though Spain is only in the minority of the religion with their country. They are rooting it out over the last few years and have reached every major city and is now again majority the Spain religion. And we also see their culture, which isn't really big, uh, mm, well, which isn't really big, now being the dominant one over the last 100 years. Or they started this when they had the land, so now we are here. And by the culture map, we also see that they are not getting this major city because they still have slowly integrated them. But this is not all, because we see the blue religion being more and more unpopular. We see the blue country spreading the red religion more and more, and we also see them, also the red culture is also spreading more and more. So we see that no one really likes the blue religion because the blue religion is only here because they killed everyone which didn't have the blue religion. So it's kind of sad, but now we see also that the brown country is also spreading their religion back down here, and you also see them spreading their own culture down here. And now if you look at the religion map, you see that the the blue religion is on the decline because no one wanted it in his country, and they all kind of just got it. And also the same is true for culture. But what we see is not only them being on the decline, but we also see that this religion right here, the dark purple one or dark blue one, is spreading, and also the red culture is also spreading from this country. So we see really a lot of decline by the blue country because, like I already said, all of this was done through conquest and not through integration. And if you consider that the purple country, the navy country, only controlled all of these territories for 100 to 10 years is a bit astonishing how many people, how far they spread out their religion. And now what you also see, I know it's a lot of religion updating, but I think it's important, so I didn't do this off map. But we see the Belarusian country showing no mercy to these purple to the purple religion, and this is really going to trigger the purple country, but they cannot do anything because they still have a ceasefire with the Belarusian country, and yeah, the Belarusian country is just much stronger than the Estonian country, and the red country is going to get a few major cities in its sphere, but this is because the religion in the red country is every culture and religion accepted. It's by law accepted, but it's a bit different by what the people think. But the high-ranking officials just say it doesn't matter which culture or religion you have, so they allow it in their country, and they only convert because of daily racism and just integration through churches and everything. So the Estonian country is not actually triggered by the red country because they did something or something, because they did something or something is not triggered by the red country because they did not do anything. It's just natural. And we also see that Finland has a different religion and culture than Sweden. But Sweden, the in Sweden, the Estonian religion and culture is fully accepted also by the people. So this is why they don't do anything. And we see everything down here is the same culture. But we now finally see that the blue religion is further on decline, but we still have Crimea who's spreading it, and also we still have the Navy team who spread it. But we see that a lot of high-ranking people, not the country leader, but a lot of high-ranking officials just do a little thing which converts these people to their religion. So it just happens. They get executed by him, but that still doesn't change anything. But we see Paulino 18 being a bit more untrusty of his generals because they all planned this behind his back. So he doesn't really trust them as much as he used to. More map and religion changes. We see that this country right here is now really distanced over the years from its former overlord or religion, I guess it's the right thing to say. So we see them founding a bit of an offshoot of the religion from them. So just kind of like the brown team did here, but it's also for culture. So this country is now a bit more on. And the funny thing is, the video would now already be long enough, but I still want you guys to get a bit more out of this video. So we see more exploration on Africa, and we also see that they explore this lake. And we know that lakes and seas are really good for you, as you can see right here. And you also see that the purple country is expanding more into Madagascar. And actually, this country right here is completely forgotten by basically everyone, because no one goes down here, because trade routes from the UK through Africa, through here or here are not established. So we see that almost no one knows that this country exists. The only one who knows it is this East Africa, but they don't think about it because it's just some explorers they lost and they founded their own country. But this country is kind of building up really strong. They discover like 50% of Madagascar and making their own empire, and they are getting really big, and now they also found their own major cities along the coast, and actually a lot, because no one immigrates here, but none of these cities really big, but everyone has a really good port and really good food supplies and everything you need. And even though they are not getting mass migrations like India, they are slowly getting stronger and stronger, because I don't know how long they actually existed. Okay, not actually that long, but but many people are hearing rumors about and stories and myths about a country down here, and they just go down there and find it. So few people are coming from the country right here. So that's how they grow so big. But they are not going to stop. So the next thing we see is that Sweden is exploring more and more of these steps right here, and they're finally connecting up with their colony right here. So as you can see, they are now they know now how far they are actually uh, away from the colony. But we see them expanding their Arctic holdings and slowly connecting up the ports. And more about trade routes, we see that they that the trade routes are now going also much more overseas. So So we see people going out to the major cities of the countries and kind of hopping to them to get their supplies. So these are long trade routes, but these trade routes exist, and they're also trying to find a way right here, but it's kind of hard. So they start construction of more trade routes, and these trade routes are not really official, but everyone who wants to go up there uses something like that. So they are now considered a really trade route, really important trade route. And we also see people go from here, we see now them going from Sicily here to Crete. And for the last thing, we see that this country right here wants to be bigger again. Why? Because they got humiliated by the Swedish. Not really, but they lost a lot of population and military and yeah, mm, almost everything, and they got crushed by the Belarusians. So after about 20-30 years from the war, we see them striking the Swedish naval base, which is everywhere. So we see them taking back this control, smashing the navy on this city, sending it to repair, gaining more and more access to the sea because they secretly built up their navy. And now we see them actually landing on these islands, and this is going to do it for this episode because I already have recorded a long time. So we will see the battle in the next episode. So like and subscribe, and bye.